I went on this like really weird kind of trip just a few days ago.
Okay.
Where I was, no shocker to anybody, we do a lot of our research on ChatGPT.
Right, yeah.
And so I was on ChatGPT and was asking for some interesting facts, and ChatGPT, whenever it gives you interesting facts, will kind of just suggest, like, if you'd like to learn something about this or about that. Right. Throw it out there.
I guess I don't use ChatGPT. Like I said, I use Gemini. Yeah. Just mostly because everything I use is Microsoft, so yeah, it's all integrated.
Anyways, I started going down this rabbit trail and was asking for a bunch of different things, and it was like, if you'd like to know some interesting facts about space, and I was like,
yes, please.
Yeah, that sounds great. I said yes, and ChatGPT gave me some interesting facts about space.
Let's hear some facts about space.
I just have two big ones that stood out to me.
Okay.
So the first one is this. Did you know that on Venus, a day is longer than a year on Earth?
Yes.
Venus takes about 243 Earth days to complete one full rotation on its axis.
Right.
So like a full day, quote unquote. But it only takes about 225 Earth days to orbit the sun. So a year, right? So from an Earth perspective, Venusian is the word that they use for Venus. A Venusian day lasts longer than its year.
Right. Okay, yeah, I did know that. I don't know why I was thinking it was Mercury, that a day on Mercury is longer than a year.
No, so that was on Venus. And then an even weirder fact about it is because of its rotation and its orbit patterns, right? So where it's traveling in our solar system, if you stood on Venus, the sun would rise on the west and set on the east, which is the opposite of what it is.
So it like rotates counter. No, well, I thought
you're gonna ask me a lot of questions I have no answers to.
Okay, and this is me like remembering bits and pieces, because I used to be, when I was a little kid, I was huge into astronomy.
Okay,
I had a telescope. Like I remember when was it Hale-Bopp, the comet?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like I remember setting it up on the sidewalk out in front of our house and looking up and everything. But I thought that we're the only planet that spins clockwise. We are either the only. All the other.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at my lack of understanding of anything you're saying.
I want to say all the other planets spin opposite of the way we do.
Okay.
Like 7 of the 8 planets, because one spins on its side. So there is a planet that spins
relative to us
horizontally instead of vertically.
Yeah.
So it spins on a horizontal axis instead of a vertical axis.
Which all of that boggles my mind.
Space is both awe-inspiring and terrifying at the same time.
It also begs the questions of, like, if we were to travel, like, so men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? What are the implications of the fact that, like, one day on Venus is longer than a year on Earth, right?
Because it takes them so long to get ready?
Even that, like, one day on Venus is longer than 1 year on Venus. It all melts my mind. And I think that's the reason why we don't understand women.
It's because they take too long to do anything?
That was not where I was going with it. I was just saying they're hard to understand, but yeah, sure. That's funny. My wife's going to murder me after this releases. It's going to be great. So another one.
Everything's fun.
How much do you know about black holes? Probably about as much as I do, maybe.
Maybe.
I've done some studying on them. So, did you know that time slows down as you go into a black hole?
So the theory is, like, as you're entering a black hole, things go from speeding up to slowing down, and you can essentially see the end of life before it actually happens or something.
Yeah.
What is it? Time dilation? Is the term for it?
Man, look at you go. Killing it today.
See, okay,
Yeah, so due to gravitational time dilation is the full name of it, which is a concept from Einstein's theory of general relativity. The stronger gravity gets, the more it warps time. So near a black hole's event horizon, which is the point of no return at a black hole, right? Time passes so slowly that if someone were watching you fall into a black hole from a distance, they'd see you move slower and slower and slower, but never actually redshift away like everything else does.
Right.
So you would never actually cross the event horizon, according to someone who's seeing you back a ways. Now, the interesting thing about that is, from your perspective, you would fall right in.
Yeah, everything's gone.
It's like instantaneous. Yeah. But for somebody far away, you would appear basically frozen on the edge of the event horizon forever.
Right. Well, that goes back to the space is absolutely terrifying when you come to think of it, because we're observing these things from hundreds of millions of miles away, of light years away from things.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden you just see, like, they're there, and then you just see a black space open up where everything is, and then you can kind of see, like, where they've seen with the electron telescopes and things like that, like the warping of the star into a black hole.
Right.
And it is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and light bending around the edges of it and stuff like that. Yeah. It's so funny, like, to me, because thinking about it from, like, a Christian perspective, I'm always, like, curious about, okay, so is that just God messing with us? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got his giant pencil and he just poked a hole in the sky, and so,
or a very crude he just has a pen and he's just like racing stuff, and
he's like, oh, that star doesn't look quite as good as I wanted it to, so he just takes it out and stuff. Very interesting, like, concepts in that sense to think about, because like a little peek for everybody else out there, as a Christian, I believe that God is outside of time and space
and everything.
And so when we talk about God being eternal, like, we think about the fact that, like, God sees time the way that we see an object, in that sense, that he created it, he's outside of it, all this stuff. And so it's just fascinating to me to think about the fact that, because that's one of the questions that people ask a lot of times concerning space and creation and things along those lines, is they're like, well, we can see lights that come from millions of miles away. How do you justify that in, like, a young earth creation kind of perspective in that sense? To which my answer is always that if God can speak the entire universe into existence, then God can make light show up where he wants it to, in that sense. So that's kind of easy to a degree. I know it's not an easy answer, like, to justify us for everybody, because if you're looking at it from a scientific point of view, trust me, I've had in-depth conversations with plenty of people, and we haven't come to conclusions. But it's just fun to think about, like, there's a black hole out there, and if you watch something that gets to the event horizon for us, it just looks like it sits there.
Yeah.
For the rest of time.
It's just stuck, and how the sciences and stuff behind it, and, like, being able to replicate everything but the existence of human life is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is.
Anyway.
Fascinating. Well, let's jump into this episode, bud.
All right. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me? No? Well, I'm Josh. I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You could be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yes.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua. Josh.
I'm on that C4 energy today. Got that cherry bombsicle.
So I was kind of thinking, I have one of the podcasts I used to listen to. They were talking about drafting different things. You know how we did, like, the snake draft of the Sith characters? They did the same. They did. That was the inspiration for a lot of mine. When you were growing up, did you go to the mall a lot? Or, like, when you got to high school, like, you could drive, like, you went to the mall and hang out in the mall?
The mall was a spot for, all the way through my high school years and stuff, that you went and cruised around the mall. You would go and hang out in the mall when you were younger and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, for sure.
So I was thinking, and we can do this, like, in a couple of different segments and things like that.
Okay.
I kind of want to build an ideal food court.
Ooh, that's a solid choice. I like that.
Yeah, so because one of my friends at work, we were talking about, like, we were reminiscing about malls that had closed or had shifted over the years and things like that, like remembering the food court, and we could almost specifically remember where each food place was, because I remember going to the mall to go to Chick-fil-A because there wasn't like a brick and mortar Chick-fil-A. They were around here. They were in malls.
The OG Chick-fil-A was in the mall,
right?
Yeah,
and it was one of those things where, like, we would go to the mall specifically for that. There was also a place called Arthur Treacher's, which was like a Long John Silver's.
I know what Arthur Treacher's is.
Which they are starting to make a comeback, which
really?
I'm kind of excited about. It's scared but excited about. But yeah, so what would I think we could go like back and forth one or another.
Sure.
Like, I would say like maybe like 5. What would your top 5 food court restaurants be?
All right, so we're taking Chick-fil-A off the board.
Yeah, we're taking Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A's a given.
Right.
Got to be there.
Yeah. I mean, so that's 5 other restaurants.
Now, is this, are we doing main course or are we doing dessert stuff too?
You can do like
whatever you
Orange
want.
Julius, Dairy Queen, whatever.
So my number 2 that I got to throw in there is a Great American Cookie Company.
Oh, dude, we were talking about their butter cookies, like the sugar butter cookies.
Yes.
Oh, the big. I never actually. Did you ever have like one of those cookie pizzas? Like I never had one.
What?
Yeah,
dude, that was like, you didn't have a birthday party where I grew up without having a Great American Cookie Company cookie cake. They were so good, and you can get them decorated however you want it. They put whatever you wanted on there. No, that was like if I went to the mall where I grew up. Mm-hmm. This is not an exaggeration. Like, again, I'm going to repeat back something I've said before. The fact that I don't have diabetes is a freaking miracle.
Right.
I would not step foot into Golden East Mall, which was the name of the mall in my hometown in North Carolina. Would not step foot in there without going to get a slice of cookie cake. Because they would do it however you wanted it, right? So you could walk in there and tell them, I want a slice of cookie cake, but I want the entire top of it covered in white icing. And they would just like...
I mean, that sounds delicious.
They'd back and forth pipe that bad boy.
My teeth hurt just thinking about that.
Oh, yeah. But I refused to go to the mall without going and getting that. But yeah, so funny enough, when was it? Not too long ago. Brooke and I were somewhere, and there was a slice that somebody had gotten of Great American Cookie Cake Company, a slice of one of their pizza cookie things, like the cakes, with icing and everything on it. And it was for somebody, like somebody had gotten it specifically for someone else.
Really?
I'm trying to think if it was like a birthday or something like that we were at. I told Brooke, I said, I've never been more tempted to steal something in my life.
I mean, that's fair.
Not even kidding. Like, I halfway thought about at least opening the box, because it was like, they give you a slice of pie shaped box that they come in, and I at least thought about like opening the box and taking the tip of the piece off. Like I was gonna eat
it broke.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened to it. But I've never been more tempted in my life. I love those things.
Okay, and we were talking about this because we were talking about the Great American Cookie Company. Mm-hmm. Was it actually in your food court, or was it kind of off, like to the side? Off. So okay, that's how I remember it in one of the malls that was around here. I think it was Canton Center Mall. Yeah. It was off, like it wasn't like too far removed from the food court, but it was not in the food court. Okay.
Yeah, so in Golden East Mall, the interior of our mall was shaped like a triangle.
Okay.
So like where the food court was at the widest. No, I take that back. It was actually like kind of in the middle of one of the sides of the triangle.
Okay.
But where the triangle came to the point down towards one end of the mall, there was like a big open seating area and stuff. And Great American Cookie Company was right there.
Okay.
It was so good.
So for my number 2,
number 2,
2 of 6, I have to go with Annie Ann's.
Annie Ann's? Yeah, that's a solid choice. I like Annie Ann's. This guy's a big fan.
I like their regular pretzels because they're the Bavarian pretzels.
Yep.
So they're a little bit more doughy.
Yeah.
I'm
with you 100%.
The butter. Their cinnamon ones are really good. But like I said, I like the regular ones again, like the dipping sauces. They have the hot dogs covered in like the pigs in a blanket, but it's a pretzel. So
solid choices.
But yeah, I have to go with Annie Ann's for my other one. What about you? What's your number?
My next one is going to be real generic because they have different names everywhere you go, but you got to have that Chinese joint.
Oh yeah.
That serves the plates of so you get a styrofoam plate that either get lo mein or rice on the main part, and then you get like 2 choices of whatever meats you want. So
and they're always handing out the free samples in front.
The little free sample person out there in the front. There are just days that's the only thing that I crave, and the only place that satisfies it is the little joint inside the food court at the mall. Like, you can't go get it from like a Chinese takeout place. That's different Chinese food.
100% different.
It's not the same ballpark. Nope. And you can't go to hibachi because that's a whole different ballgame too. Those things are so niche, but man, their food is so good. Yeah. I love it.
My next one would have to be A&W.
A&W, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things where...
I'm not gonna lie, that's a surprising one to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's always a nostalgia thing for me too. Like, I remember going and getting like a burger, a hot dog. Yeah. Very simple, quick lunch while you're in there.
I don't think we ever went to A&W all that much when I was young. So,
like, I even remember in college. I mean, this was still 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But one of the malls that I would go to when I was in college, they still had an A&W, and I would go there and get a burger every once in a while, and like the root beer in the little A&W root beer keg, like it,
Yeah.
But yeah, A&W would be my number 2, or 3, I guess in this case.
I don't think we can go wrong with putting the Sbarro in there.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's like a mall staple everywhere you go in the United States, and you got to have some kind of Italian-ish joint.
Yeah, I mean,
their pizza's not bad either.
No, it's really not.
It's not one that you're like, "Ooh, I really got to go get Sbarros today." But it's one of those types of things that if you're hungry and you're in a food court, it's a solid choice every time.
Solid choice. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I kind of, this is out of the norm for me. I'm kind of on a sweet kick. A Cinnabon.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I'm 100% on board with that one. Cinnabon's great. I mean, I'm trying to think of like any other places. Those are like the big ones for me that I always go to whenever we're in. Now, I have been to a mall before.
Really? You've been to a mall before?
Yeah. Now, I've been to a mall before that had a Bojangles in it.
Really?
Yeah. There's only one, though, and it was in Georgia. So that's kind of like, I take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, if I could have Bojangles in the mall, that'd be a pick. But I don't think that's normal. So, man, I don't know. I don't know what other...
I mean, you can go with like the regular ones too. Like I know,
yeah, because you got like Subway, but like Subway's everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, you also have Taco Bell's and all of those. McDonald's,
like fast food restaurants of all the different kinds. Yeah, but I don't know. Like none of those. Like we talked about that a little bit in our ranking thing. None of those are like exciting enough to me to be like, yeah, I got to put it on my team.
Well, I guess in this case, like you're building your ideal food court,
right?
So like what? So would you put Bojangles in your ideal food court?
Oh yeah, yeah, easily. Can you imagine having Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, the Chinese joint?
I'll never leave.
I live here now. Where is your what's the thing I'm thinking of? Not Bath and Body Works, but like, where's your Bed Bath and Beyond? Yeah. I live there now. That's my home.
I live in the Beyond section.
Yeah.
Honestly, we kind of joke. Arthur Treacher's came to mind because, like, I was talking. But I'm gonna go Charlie's.
Charlie's
cheesesteaks.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Really? There's one in Summit Mall, like where they make like the cheesesteaks on the flat top.
Never paid attention to it.
Yeah, they do like cheese.
I'm so distracted by the Chinese food every time. That's the problem.
Yeah, they do like cheesesteaks, like cheese fries, like a bunch of different stuff. Like, yeah.
So there was a place in my hometown. We technically had 2 malls.
Okay.
One was Tarrytown Mall, which was the old one, and then there was Golden East. And when Golden East came in, it put the final nail in the coffin for Tarrytown. But Tarrytown, in the back of it, used to have this place, and I, for the life of me, will never be able to remember the name of it. I'll have to ask a friend of mine from high school at some point in time. But there was a place that we used to go to get cheesesteaks back there in the back of that mall, and it was awesome.
I love me a good cheesesteak.
It was the guys that ran the place were like legitimately from like Philly, and so they made like the good stuff. But they were so good. I used to love cheesesteaks there. So the cheesesteak place is awesome. That's a good choice.
I think for my final one, I'm gonna have to go like the Dairy Queen Orange Julius combo.
I was thinking about an ice cream place would be a solid choice. So I'd be down for that. Orange Julius has never done anything for me. I'll just say that. Yeah. I mean, not a fan at all.
I think I used to get Orange Julius a lot before I like found like Pulp or Robax or things like that. But
good
like
places.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But stuff that doesn't use like copious amounts of sugar in their stuff. But Dairy Queen falls into that same vein for me with A&W. Dairy Queen's food is much better than it should be.
Yeah.
Like, their burgers are really good. Like,
they have no business being in the games that they're in because you just stick to ice cream, right? Like you're doing fine.
But it's one of those restaurants, one of those fast food places that got into a different lane and can compete.
Did it great.
Compete in that lane.
Absolutely.
Because like their flamethrower burger,
right?
Oh, so stinking good.
I don't know if you could ever have a version of it, but a Sonic in a mall would be pretty dope. Like the food from Sonic in a mall, I'd love to have one of those, but I don't know if we could ever pull that off.
Well, I mean,
Sonic has a whole like feel, and they love their drive-in thing. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of put that in the same vein of like the A&W. Like, I mean, it's the same type of food, it's the same type of feel.
That's fair.
Because like you used to have like the A&W root beer stands. So I think I think that would be the closest you could get to like a Sonic in a mall setting.
Yeah. I think Sonic's downfall was that they always kind of stuck too close to the. They had to stick with the drive-in feel,
right? And instead of like just like a regular brick and mortar.
Yeah, but at the same time,
restaurant.
it's like. But if you think about it, like the food that they serve at Sonic, you couldn't do it as a fast food joint,
right?
Like, you couldn't just drive it through. Like they have a drive-through at Sonic, but it takes forever.
Yeah, it does.
So
and like they have like the walk-up window and stuff. Like it does take forever.
Yeah, it takes a long time. So, anyways, all right, that's good stuff. We've put together our food court in the mall. If you're listening, we need you to give input on this. If there's something that we missed,
right? Because I know there's other like different regional things or like town specific things.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about those too.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know, because I think we'll kind of circle back to this and we'll kind of build out from this and maybe build our ideal mall.
I think the only thing that I'm missing right now on that list is I would love to have a really, really, really good hot dog joint. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Like there was a place in my hometown called Central Cafe. Okay. And if you could take Central Cafe, the hot dogs that they made, and put a place that makes those in the mall, that'd be ball game. I would move in. Like, no kidding. Like this, legitimately, I'm living here now.
Well, in Holland, there used to be a place called G&L Chili Dogs. And it was just hot dogs and fries, but like they had like different types of hot dogs. Like they had like a Reuben hot dog, where it was like sauerkraut, Thousand Island dressing, like just like niche little things like that. And like they served the horseshoe fries,
right?
But a little bit better than Steak and Shake.
I didn't even think about it, but there was a place called Trolley Stop in Southport where we used to live before we moved up here.
Okay.
That was the same thing, like a specialty hot dog joint, and all they did was hot dogs and sausages on buns with different toppings and stuff. So they had ones like named after different things around there. So I had like the Oak Island dog, which was like nacho cheese, like the liquid cheese and salsa on a hot dog. And that first you're like,
sounds really good actually.
Yeah, well, see, like most people like turn their nose up at first, but it was awesome.
Okay, well you're talking to somebody who puts mayo on like all beef hot dogs.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. As long as it's Duke's mayo.
Yeah, I really have
he's like yeah, whatever.
I have no. I hate Miracle Whip.
Yeah, I can't stand Miracle Whip. That's not actual mayo.
Yeah, no, it's actually called salad dressing.
Yeah, I will use other mayos, but Duke's is unbeatable as far as flavor goes.
I mean, Hellman's has like an avocado oil mayo that's actually really good.
You said avocado, right? That's amazing.
I know. Yeah, Josh and I were talking about that. Like, I hated myself for how I said avocado toast.
Avocado toast. Well, let's take a break real quick. We will mention our sponsor, and then we will come back to our cryptid of the month.
This week, we're going to tell you again about our sponsor, the Salt Collective. So they exist to be able to come alongside small businesses and nonprofits and help them to just do business better. And so as they do that, one of the cool things that the Salt Collective does is they take the businesses that partner with them by hiring them on, and they partner them with the nonprofit organizations that they work with, so that what is paid from the businesses goes to support the nonprofits through the Salt Collective, so they get to do more work for nonprofits as more businesses hire them on. So we love seeing that partnership. We love seeing what they're doing. They work with several of the nonprofits here in our area. They work with several small businesses and friends of ours, and they have done tremendous work to be able to help grow their social media presence, to help them with marketing. And we believe that they could help you as well. So if you're a small business owner, or if you know a small business owner that's looking for some help in marketing, and especially in the world of Facebook and Instagram, all those online places that you can exist, If you know somebody in a small business that would like to hire them on for that purpose, or if you are someone that works with a nonprofit organization, we would encourage you to check out remainsalty.com, or you can go to their Facebook page by searching for The Salt Collective. You can also check them out on Instagram as well. And that we know that if you go check out their website, go check out their social media pages, you'll see The Salt Collective is a great organization doing great things for small businesses and nonprofits. Check out The Salt Collective, remainsalty.com. We appreciate it.
You ready to hear about this month's cryptid?
I am. You kind of teased this to me in a sense that this is an off the beaten path cryptid?
Yeah, this is pretty well off the beaten path.
Ooh, so yes, even better. I love obscure ones.
Not one that I'd ever heard of, and not one that is like, I think it's probably far lesser known. But it's an interesting story, and it's an interesting creature, in my opinion. So
let's go.
So, what do you know about the Beast of Bladenboro?
The Beast of Bladenboro?
Yeah.
Isn't that a song by the Rolling Stones?
Beast of Burden. Yeah,
well, close enough.
Yeah, close.
Well, they're English, right?
Yeah. Wait, are they British? No, this actually takes place in North Carolina, my home state.
Really?
And yeah, so this is in Bladenboro, North Carolina, is the place where this story originates.
Where is Bladenboro?
So Bladenboro is southwest of Wilmington, is where it is Bladenboro. It's like more west of Wilmington. Because it's inland a little bit. But so the story that I have to tell today about the Beast of Bladenboro begins in Bladen County in the town of Clarkton, which is close to Bladenboro.
Okay.
So this place is about 2 hours south of where I grew up in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. So on December 29th, 1953, a local woman heard her neighbor's dogs barking and whimpering outside. When she went out to investigate what was going on, she saw a large cat-like creature skulk off into the darkness.
So, initial first thought, you said cat-like, right?
Yep, cat-like creature.
So, mountain lion?
That's a good guess. Solid guess.
I mean, that's where my mountain lion, cougar...
Yep. That's kind of like wildcat type of deal. Like, yeah, we're getting into all that ballpark. Is kind of
like
the initial
bigger.
thought.
So, but like bigger than like a bobcat size. So like a decent size.
We're gonna get into all that.
Okay.
We'll dive deeper into it. So that happened on December 29th. 2 days later, on New Year's Eve, 2 dogs in the same area were found dead.
Oh.
The dogs were killed by something powerful enough that it crushed their heads flat. Like, I mean,
like cartoon
jaws,
steamroller flat?
Jaws folded from the front and stuff like that, like crushed their heads flat.
Really? Okay, I'm sorry, what year was this?
1953.
Okay.
And on top of their heads being crushed flat, every drop of blood was drained from their bodies. So
really?
So their flesh was not consumed. The dogs were whole, except for their head being crushed in, and every bit of blood drained from their body. Like the description that, I think I have it somewhere else in here, but the description that we hear from the police chief and other people is the exaggeration of it, in a sense, was that there couldn't have been more than 3 drops of blood left in the entire body.
Really?
Yeah, like drained of blood.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So more reports start to flow in after this. DG Pate, who was a local there, claimed to have watched as a dog was attacked by a large cat-like creature and dragged into the woods outside of his service station. So the police chief at this point in time begins to, within these few days, the police chief begins to get overwhelmed with reports of an animal that is, in quotations, like a bear or a panther. So larger than just a normal cat, like in the wild.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I mean, that's still a decent...
It's big.
In between sizes, though.
Yeah. Panther to bear is like a pretty good jump.
I mean, I guess some black bears are smaller, but...
So it was described as like a panther or a bear, accompanied by descriptions of it being approximately 3 feet long and 20 inches high, with a long tail and a cat's face. 3 feet long and 20 inches high doesn't make for like a super big, imposing figure. But at the same time, we've got these dogs whose heads have been like crushed flat.
Right. So, I mean, it'd have to be a creature or something of substantial size. And, okay, so it was just crushed. There was no, like, bite marks, anything like that. Just, like, flat crushed?
Yeah, yep.
Not like something grabbed its jaws around it and crushed it.
From everything that I read, there were a couple of reports that said that there might have been some like scratches and stuff.
Okay, but that would become like a paw or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, so it could have been a claw, could have been, but there were like some injuries, like looking like they had fought, but nothing that would show that like the animal that was attacking was trying to consume their meat, but instead their blood was being drained from these animals.
Interesting.
Yeah. Many of the reports included that the creature sounded like, and this is going to sound a lot like a wildcat type of situation, it sounded like a woman with a knife stuck in her back, was literally the quote that I got, as people said that they could hear it in the nearby swamps.
So a howl, shrill,
yeah, like
higher pitch, not like a lower growl like you would associate with a bear or
right.
Okay, more feline
ish. Have you ever heard recordings of, I think it's wildcats and like mountain lions at nighttime? Okay, we'll have to dive a little bit into that. Maybe I'll look it up here in just a second and play it for you, because they sound like women screaming when they're like out in the woods. Oh yeah. So I'll see if I can look that up for in just a second. But
because like that it's crazy, because like when you hear like a rabbit scream or things like that, it's one of those sounds like that shouldn't be coming from an animal type sound.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah,
okay.
That's kind of the same idea.
Vein.
So,
okay,
let me see if I can get. This is literally two wildcats standing close to each other and like screaming at each other.
Okay, that's creepy.
Right. So
that's straight creepy.
So that's kind of like what you have to imagine these people are reporting in. They're saying like in the swamps down around their houses and stuff, this is the stuff that they're hearing.
Honey, it's time to move.
Yeah, exactly. On New Year's Day, two more dogs were found dead in the exact same manner as the first two that were reported.
So this was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
So 29th,
back to back.
29th, 31st, 1st.
Right. So far in those, just over those 2 days, we have 4 dogs that have been found dead with their heads crushed, drained completely of their blood. And so they would find out later that over the course of 3 days, at least 7 dogs were killed and completely drained of their blood in the same manner. So this thing is like moving, and in this area is traveling around killing these dogs one right after the other.
That's crazy, because a lot of these you don't hear that, like a lot of cryptids and things like that do injure animals, kill animals. Like it doesn't seem like it's this frequent. So that is
not as fast and not as like local in a sense too. Things then escalated again on January the 5th when the Beast of Bladenboro attacked a human.
What?
So on the evening of January the 5th, 1954, Mrs. Kinslaw heard the sound of a whimpering dog outside of her house and went to check it out. Upon stepping outside, Mrs. Kinslaw was confronted with a large, cat-like creature that rushed at her. So as it was rushing at her, she let out a blood-curdling scream, which made her husband come rushing out of the house as well. Apparently, Mr. Kinslaw was a much more imposing figure, because the creature, when it saw him, rushed back into the woods as he came outside. Both got a look at the creature and said that it looked to be like a giant mountain lion, was the way they described it.
Dude, that's great. Well, you said that she let out a blood-curdling scream. I wonder if I don't associate that with a similar call from...
Yeah, if maybe it was like, oh, that's my bigger cousin or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of made it sound like him. But yeah, they said when the husband came out, this thing turned around and booked it back into the woods. This is when the chief of police decided to bring in some bigger guns. And so he and the mayor actually reached out and hired professional hunters from Wilmington, North Carolina, which was nearby, to come in and track the animal down. There were 2 problems with this tracking party that happened.
Okay.
Number 1, they never found the beast as they were trying to track it, and only ever saw tracks that they said were likely too small to have been the reported beast. So they saw cat-like tracks.
But typically normal size, like mountain cat.
This is probably just like house cats and stuff like that they saw. They never saw anything big enough. And then the second problem was this. Their dogs that they brought with them, who had been trained to hunt bears and other animals, were scared to follow the scent of the beast.
Really?
Yeah, the dogs were like, took one sniff and were like, nope, ain't doing that. They said that, like, legitimately, these guys had never seen their dogs refuse to track an animal before.
And, like, knowing, like, some of, like, hunting dogs, even rescue dogs, things like that, when they don't do that. Like, they
no, yeah.
Like, you know.
Especially
like,
on the opportunity to chase an animal of some kind. They're like, all on board.
You can't stop them, like, from doing that.
Yep.
Like, that's what they do.
It's their whole deal.
That's insane.
So these dogs are basically like, nah, we whatever that is, we don't want none of it.
No, that's some white people stuff right there.
Yeah. Y'all on your own. We ain't going after that. So as news spread through local newspapers and radio shows and stuff of this beast showing up, the killings, and it's getting to the point where the people of the town, they're so scared, right? And the mayor and the police chief are trying to figure out, what do we do? Well, as they're trying to figure out what's going on and what they're supposed to do, hunters from all over North Carolina and even as far as Tennessee begin to converge on Bladenboro to try to hunt down this beast. So it's the 50s, right? So as people are hearing about it, they're thinking like, oh man, I'm going to go become a hero. I'm going to get my trophy kill, all this kind of stuff by hunting down the beast of Bladenboro.
Okay, I'm sorry. Why is this giving me like the land equivalent to Jaws?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when all the, like,
we're gonna need a bigger truck. Yeah.
And like a doll's eyes.
But it's also the most like freaking North Carolina way to handle a situation.
Oh, of course.
Instead of them being like, all right, everybody just stay inside, we'll hunt this thing down and get it taken care of. Like every redneck around the state's like, y'all get your guns, we're going to go get this big boy.
But
like,
I mean, it's like one of those things. Like this is their time to shine. This is what they've been waiting their whole life to do.
I can testify that even all the way up until the early 2000s, that's what North Carolina people were like. They're like, oh, there's something we can shoot? Yeah, we're all on board. We got it. The crazy thing is more than 600 additional hunters from as far out as Tennessee poured into the town. Which the town at that point in time was only a town of 1,000 people.
I was going to make the joke that probably doubled the size of the population.
They estimate, so they believe it was around 600. They estimate it could have been up to 1,000 hunters came in.
So legitimately, they doubled the population.
Yeah, and these guys, and they're showing up, and if they knew somebody in the town, they were staying with them. But most of these guys were like camping out and stuff, which is hilarious because you're thinking like, there's a giant cat on the loose that's trying to like
and they're
kill
all
people.
Camping.
Yeah, and you guys are sleeping in tents. Good
with
job.
Dogs.
Yeah, or out in the open for all we know.
Right.
Yeah, with their dogs and everything. So Salem's double the population. The problem is that none of these guys knew exactly what they were hunting, right? So
of course not.
Because nobody has a legitimate report of here's what the thing looks like or what you're trying.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't know like what bait do you use to draw it in? Do you just tie your dog to a tree and pray for the best? Like what are you doing? Kind of thing.
Well, in my thing is like this is the 50s, like the late 50s, right?
The early 50s, yeah.
Well,
so this
early
is 54 at this point.
Okay. How is all of this getting passed around that quickly?
Oh, it was radio shows and, and
okay.
newspapers were what picked it up. So there's like newspaper articles that you can read about the Beast of Bladenboro and stuff.
Because I mean, something like that happening now. Like I know we talked the last episode about the sunburn challenge thing. Like how fast that spread.
Oh yeah,
with people
like
who don't know anything about anything and they just share things all blindly. But like for it to spread that far that fast, it's crazy
at that day and time. Yeah. So and they were talking about like there's some speculations in the things that I was reading about the fact that it was like slow news times and so nothing was going on, so they're just covering anything they could, and this beast showing up is kind of like a big deal for them and stuff, and so that was just some of their speculation about it.
I mean, nationally, you had some big things come out, like in the early 50s. I mean, that's the height of the Cold War and things like that. Because I mean, you're coming right off of World War II.
Yeah.
In the mid and late 40s and things like that. So I wouldn't say that was a slow news time.
That's what they were saying. They were like, there wasn't much to report on.
Like I could see like it wanting to draw people into bolster economics and things like that. Like if they would have used that as an excuse, I would have bought into that.
That's something funny that actually happens. Like in the midst of all of this, while the things are going on, I believe it was the mayor actually owned the theater in town. And so he did capitalize on this by bringing it. He brought in a movie that was out at that point in time called The Big Cat and showed it in the theater and basically was like advertising it like, hey, come and see the Beast of Bladenboro on the big screen kind of deal. And so he was trying to capitalize and make money off of everything. But
there's always somebody.
So meanwhile, in the midst of all this, right, all these hunters show up. The townspeople are terrified because they've
naturally so.
Dogs being drained of blood. Like there were other animals, there were pigs and stuff like that got killed as well, all in the same fashion. And so they're staying indoors unless it's absolutely necessary to go outside. No one went out at nighttime. Every door, window was locked, all that kind of stuff. And this is a town where at that point in time, usually people left their doors unlocked, doors open for breeze and all that good stuff. No reason not to, right? After a short amount of time, the mayor, Bob Fussell was his name, who's the guy that owns the theater as well, and Police Chief Fours decided it was best to put an end to the hunt, citing fears that with that many hunters in one small area, it was more likely that a human was going to be mistakenly shot than the beast, which makes sense, right? So they're thinking, like, all these guys are roaming around the swamp trying to hunt down this beast. One of them's going to end up shooting the other one, whatever. We're going to have a bigger problem on our hands. So on January the 13th, 2 weeks after the first killings, the two men took a bobcat that was captured by a local farmer and strung it up in the middle of town on a flagpole with a sign attached to it that read, "This is the Beast of Bladenboro." So these guys, they captured like a regular sized bobcat, and their plan was, we're going to pass this off as this beast that's been doing these things, to which is like, you know.
Okay, I'm sorry, but this is legitimately the plot of Jaws.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe this is where they got the idea for Jaws from.
Okay.
So it took about a week for things to really die down.
Okay.
And so all the hunters left. But the crazy thing was that the killings also stopped around that time. Like at least on the part of the beast. Maybe it was just the presence of all the hunters.
That's
and dogs.
That's what my mind would have went to, is just because the increased presence. Like, you can't move around as freely. Even predators, like, they don't move with high numbers of anything.
But yeah, so in the midst of all this, like after they string up this bobcat in the middle of town and say, "This is the Beast of Bladenboro," everything begins to die down. The hunters begin to go back home. The people of the town start to kind of relax a little bit, and so the Beast of Bladenboro disappeared back into the swamps just as mysteriously as it first appeared, and hasn't been heard from to this day that I know of.
That is absolutely crazy. Yeah. Like, so they still don't know what killed those dogs.
They never confirmed what it was. Like that, especially something that was powerful enough to crush their heads, but also like drained the blood out of their bodies. I mean, that's the crazy thing to me, is like it'd be a whole different ballgame if you found a dog whose head was crushed, but all the meat was eaten off of his bones, or that was torn to shreds and stuff like that. Then you could kind of go like, okay, a wildcat, I can totally see. But the fact that they were like primarily intact
and just drained of blood,
but they were completely drained of blood. I mean, to the point that they made the point of saying like, there's maybe 3 drops of blood left in this animal. That's some vampire stuff, is what that is.
Right. I mean, that's like what you would do to like prep something for like taxidermy and things like that.
So
that's
now
absolutely crazy.
Now you're thinking it's like, okay, we got a vampire kitty out here on the loose that screams like a woman being stabbed in the back.
But see, then I don't know if it's the Western North Carolinian in me, but like my mind goes straight to Skinwalker. Yeah. Like that's a very Skinwalker MO. Right there. I mean, the beast, the everything like that, the draining of blood, the crushing, the screaming. Yeah. Like that's swamp. I mean, that to me screams Skinwalker than anything else.
Yeah, I could see the argument for the Skinwalker thing. I think the hard part is just the confrontations that people had with seeing this like cat-like creature in that sense. You know?
I mean, Skinwalkers are said to transform into animals, things like that. So it could have just manifested as like a deranged mountain lion or things like that. But that is absolutely crazy.
So anyways, I thought the story was wild, and the fact that it comes from my old stomping grounds is kind of fun too. Because I was looking to see, I was hoping it was a little bit closer to where we used to live in North Carolina before we moved up here, but it wasn't. They were Bladenboro is like it's equidistant from like where I grew up and where we used to live. So it's like an hour and a half inland from Southport and like 2 hours south of Rocky Mount where I grew up. So anyways, I thought that was kind of a fun little story for us to dive into for our cryptid of the month.
That is a crazy one.
Yeah. Anything else you got for me before we wrap up for today? Because we got a little bit of time left in our episode.
So I was thinking the last couple episodes we haven't really done this, but just a couple like random would you rather, just like quick shots.
Cool. Love them.
These are fairly straightforward. I'm gonna start off with kind of a good callback. All right, would you rather have unlimited bacon but never be able to play video games again, or unlimited video games but no more bacon?
Like I can
play
video games as much as I want to,
but you can never have bacon again in anything.
Or I can have as much bacon as you want, but never play video
games again.
I'm not going to lie that current stage of life,
right?
I'd pick the bacon.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been able to play video games anyways. Like, the last time that I was on was the last time that you and I played together, which has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And so the funny thing is I keep kicking myself because I'm still paying for like all my Xbox stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But
we need to try to.
I think current stage of life, I would say, yeah, I'd want unlimited bacon just because now I'm into like smoking stuff and I'm into smoking meats in my smoker. I should be clear about that because it sounds really bad. I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm into I love food, and so that always is going to have a special place in my heart. But I think that, man, especially like just a few years ago, if you'd asked me, like, I would have picked the video game thing because that was a good way to relax. I still wish that I could play more video games, but that's just how life goes.
Next one. Would you rather be
what's yours? You're picking
I almost have to say I would go with the bacon too, just because I jokingly say this, like, bacon is the duct tape of food. Like, I mean, you can fix so many things with bacon. You know, I put it in my broccoli cheese soup, which is really good. Make my corn dip, I throw bacon in there. I mean, even just eating bacon, like, you know, crispy bacon, none of this soggy bacon.
That's my pig's name. Crispy bacon.
But yeah, I'm definitely going with the bacon.
I want to do a bacon lattice soon. I'm going to make it happen. Have you seen those? Mm-hmm. You make the like lattice work on like on butcher's paper or parchment paper and bake it in the oven so that it becomes like one giant sheet of just crispy bacon.
We should do bacon flights and like make bacon different ways.
Ooh, I'm all on board.
And yeah,
you had me at bacon.
So. All right, next one really quick. Would you rather be able to fly or be able to breathe underwater?
Ooh, that's a solid question. With the breathing underwater thing, are we taking into consideration, does that mean that I can go to any depth of water?
It doesn't specify. I would say typical, everything else applies. Like, so pressure still applies, things like that.
Yeah, I'm going flight then.
Really?
Yeah. Because like if breathing underwater allowed me to go to like soul crushing depths of the ocean, you know what I'm saying, to where I could go to where people haven't been able to go yet, then I would pick the ability to breathe underwater.
Oh, that makes that even 10 times worse. I would, yeah.
I
would want to fly at that point.
I would go to the depths of the ocean.
I go back to my point. Like, the ocean is scary.
It's terrifying, but I
don't want. They're like,
but
we haven't been there, so we don't know what's down there. There could be creatures.
You could make like basically like a kind of like metal cage housing.
Oh, like
yourself.
A submarine?
No, not a submarine.
with an Xbox controller.
Because if you can breathe, right? I don't want to do something that you would have to worry about being able to be crushed.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if I can go to the depths, I want like a cage type thing around me that has lights, like super bright lights attached in every direction, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm just like one giant ball of light dropping down into the depths of the ocean.
Yeah.
But like I just think about like there's got to be stuff in Marianas Trench and places like that we haven't seen the full depth of it yet.
Right.
And I would love to know what's down there. And so to go explore that kind of stuff, I think it'd be awesome. Now if it's a matter of like you still have to deal with the depth and all that stuff, and you can get sickness and all that crazy mess, then I'm picking flight, because then it's just like you don't have much to worry about. You know, I could stay just over the top of the trees.
Well, that's my thing. Then I don't have to deal with stupid drivers anymore.
Yeah, heck yeah. That's a big win there. That's stupid drivers and just like, you know, what you could see from flying, the speed of getting places. Because I'm assuming that you're kind of like Superman,
right? Yeah, you can
not like his fastest, but like his average like flight speed and stuff. And so that would be my pick as far as I think you'd have to wear a helmet though.
Oh, of course, and all the
like
bugs
a motorcycle
and stuff.
helmet. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Well, the bugs I wouldn't worry about so much. I don't think they go that high.
Yeah, that's true.
I doubt the bugs like really make it that high up. Now birds and then like rain and stuff like that. I don't want to protect against those, but yep, I would definitely pick flight if it's normal circumstances.
Yeah, normal circumstances, I'm going flight.
Yeah.
Last one, and this is something that we have yet to address, and I'm kind of surprised that neither one of us has brought it up.
Okay.
And I mean, this is probably old news at this point, but who would win? 100 guys or one gorilla? I can't believe that we haven't discussed this yet.
Yeah, I've heard all the different arguments
on
this now. I think that I'm on the side of the 100 men.
Oh, for sure.
And I think if nothing else is for the fact that, like, we can communicate. We have at least some basic. Every human being has some basic grappling abilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just think that I find it hard. I'm sure. Trust me. I'm like first couple of guys that go in.
Right.
I feel bad for because like
the reason why I thought about this is because on one of the podcasts I listened to, they kind of took it a step further. They like backed down from 100. So like, do you think 90? Men,
what's the most guys
like,
you think
what is your tipping threshold of how many men versus one gorilla?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because I feel like 100 men. I feel like 100 men win easy.
And their logic in this was very very good because you have essentially equated to limbs, like amount of men against a limb. So like like you would have X amount of people on the arms, X amount of people on the legs, hold it down, things like that. At some point there's that tipping point. So what about 90 versus 1? So we'll kind of back our way down and see where our threshold is.
90, I still think the men take it. I think we're beginning to get into a ballpark of like where it gets iffy for me though.
Okay. What about, let's drop it down a little bit more. 40 or 50.
50. I think at 50, if the gorilla is really angry and just intent upon like whooping the guy's butt, I think that the gorilla has a chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you kind of start seeing that it does have a remote chance.
I think 50 is the breaking point for me. I think at 50 is where I think that the gorilla starts. If he's ticked off,
right? But I'm thinking
biting, slapping, kicking, like the whole 9 yards. I think that the gorilla gets wild.
But using their logic but I mean, you still have 40 people tied up and just holding it down. So you have 10 guys on the legs, 10 guys on each leg, 10 guys.
How strong those guys are, though. Right, if we're talking about average human beings, I'm not talking about like MMA fighters or bodybuilders. I'm just talking about I go pick 40 Joe Schmoes off the street.
Right.
I just don't like. Gorillas are strong, man.
Yeah. So where
those guys bench press like 1,000 pounds and stuff. Like it's crazy.
See, I'm still going with the 50 guys over the gorilla. It's getting to that tipping point where the gorilla is starting to have a chance.
Sure.
Okay, what about 40?
Yeah, 40 guys. I give it to the gorilla.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like this. It's not even like I'm not gonna say it's not a contest,
but out of 10 times the gorilla's winning.
8 out of 10 times.
8 out of 10 times?
Yeah,
okay.
8 out of 10 times at 40.
All right, so 30.
Yeah, that's gorilla win. Like,
gorilla win all the way?
Gorilla's whooping those guys'
really?
butts.
Okay.
Like, absolutely. He's going to break one dude, and he's going to turn him into a set of human nunchucks.
he's just taking him, like, by the feet.
He's whipping him. Yeah, oh, yeah. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for whoever the first guy is that gets in on that gorilla. Yeah.
See, that's where my point starts to shift towards the gorilla more than basically, because at 40 I'm thinking 50-50.
Really?
Yeah. And at 30 I'm thinking more 60-40.
Because you're thinking like, so at 40 you're thinking what, 10 guys per limb?
Right.
Is how you're looking at it?
Or even 6 guys per limb.
Dude, have you seen the bite force of a gorilla?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's stronger than a grizzly
bear. That's great
bear.
that you got 10 guys per limb, but like when he gets a hold of the guy that's at his shoulder and starts gnawing on his head.
But they don't have that much of a. They don't have.
Oh, I don't think 10 regular dudes off the street could hold a gorilla's arm straight. I don't think they could do it. I think much less. Like, he's just gonna bend over, bite the first dude. When he screams and lets go, the rest of the guys on that side are gone, and then everybody's dead. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so I think our tipping point is that 30 to 40 range, that it's the gorilla every time.
For me, it becomes a 50-50 shot at 50 guys.
Okay.
At 40, like I said,
it's all gorilla all the way.
I think gorilla takes the win, but I think he gets beat a little bit. You know, like he gets hurt some.
Okay.
But I think he takes the win. I think at 30 dudes,
not even close.
The gorilla comes out of it feeling like, all right, it was a kind of tough day. You know.
Okay.
I think at 20 dudes.
It's just a walk in the park.
Yeah, 20 dudes, the gorilla's like waiting for the next guy to come. Like, he's like, is that it? Are you not entertained?
I heard, like, it was like, yeah, then you just got done finishing 99 guys off, and then the last one has entrance music, and it's like Stone Cold theme song. Comes out with a chair. And
now, I'll say this. If we're talking about an average gorilla, like silverback,
and
right?
that's like the whole caveat
gorilla.
of this. It's average gorilla, average dudes.
Yep. I'm on board for all that. Now, if it is the average gorilla who is in his normal state,
right?
He's not raged and ticked off at the 100 men or whoever, right? Mm-hmm. I think that one man stands a better chance against one gorilla than 100 men against the gorilla. In the sense that I think the one man could make peace.
That's fair.
If they're both calm, that's to begin with.
Fair. That's fair.
Like, because he gets surrounded by 100 dudes, even the gorilla's going, something ain't right here.
Well, and I think too, like, even with instincts and things like that, like I said before, like, even predators, when they're surrounded by a bunch of things, aren't as aggressive.
Yeah,
because they know that they're outnumbered.
Right.
They
tend to back into a corner. Yeah,
they have that internal thing, like, I know I'm not going to survive this or whatever. So I think that plays a huge part into that.
Which begs the question: are gorillas like rogaroos? Right? If we get to 13, he can't count anymore.
Then it's all over.
It's all ball game. Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah. So I like I said, I knew that we hadn't addressed that.
No, that's good. Yeah, and I think that's I think that's where I would stick with my numbers. Is like,
see, I'm
anything over 50. I think if we're like 60 plus, the guys take it. Like, men could whoop the gorilla pretty easily. But I think when we get to 50, I start getting like, just toss a coin, right? See who wins.
So it is a true 50-50.
50-50. And then every number of guys that you decrease
after 50, it ticks more towards, so like, the gorilla.
50-50 is 50 is a true 50-50 shot. When we drop down to 40, like I said, I think that at 40, somewhere around like 6 out of 10 times the gorilla's winning.
Okay.
At 30, I think it jumps to like 8 or 9 times out of 10 the gorilla.
So you're going
wins.
like an 80% chance the gorilla wins.
And I think as soon as you go below 30, it's 100% win for the gorilla every time.
Okay. All right.
I could be wrong, like, they're going to do this eventually, which is going to be the great thing. I just wanted to be televised. Like, show me on the internet or something like that. I got to see.
I mean,
can you imagine if they actually talked 100 dudes into, hey, y'all come on down to this arena tonight. They put them in a rodeo arena.
The 100 Kyles.
With a big old tall wall so the gorilla can't get out and stuff like that. Yeah, 100 Kyles all jacked up on Mountain Dew. They throw those guys in there. No weapons. All you get is the sand at the feet. So some dude's got to pray for like pocket sand to be the thing that wins. You know what I'm saying? But like 100 dudes in a rodeo arena with a single silverback gorilla, and just to start the fight off, there's a guy that's like hidden under the sand that just tases the leg of the gorilla to get him ticked off, and then the whole thing just goes haywire. Gosh, can you imagine? There's some dude crouched in the corner crying, like peeing himself because he's like terrified of the silverback that's coming to tear his head off.
Right.
Gosh, I mean, trust me, I sympathize, and I don't want it to happen because I don't want to see the gorilla or the human beings get hurt. But at the same time, that would be the most watched event in TV history.
Yeah, as long as they don't stream it on Netflix, then it'll be buffering the whole time.
Oh boy, there it is. Yeah.
I said it.
Let YouTube do it, man. They're better.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
They have more servers anyway.
Yeah,
but yeah. I thought that was just a couple rapid fire ones, and then sneaking that one in there.
That's good.
Probably has been at this point 2 months out of anybody really talking about it.
It's been well discussed at this point, but I think that you and I are the experts that the world needed.
For sure. See, but like I said, I'm at 25 is my tipping point.
Okay.
I think that's when it really starts shifting towards the gorillas at 25.
I think you give human beings a lot of credit. That's okay though. That's
yeah. I mean,
just average Joe off the street. Like, do you realize? Like, I was thinking about this the other day, right? So we'll keep our closing part short today because we're getting close to time. But do you ever think about the fact of like, so when we were kids, it was still a thing to like meet up with somebody you didn't like and just slug it out on the playground, right? And
which, you know, and I know we've said it before, like bullying needs to be brought back in a controlled capacity, like
right, healthy way in that sense. You ever think about how infrequently human beings, but men in particular, get into actual like fist fights anymore in their lives?
Well, like that's the thing. Like Mason just said to me the other day, like, I've never been into a fight. And I'm like, dude, you're going into high school.
Right.
At that point, I was in
Throw hands with somebody for crying out.
Well, not now.
Yeah.
But
not now. Yeah. You can't do it now. I get shocked.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's changed so much, and nobody punches up anymore. And I think that's part of the problem. Everybody punches down.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I can't stand. It's like when you just
people will only fight the ones that they seem weaker than them and stuff. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's becoming a bigger problem, and that's why, you know, we say tongue in cheek, like bullying needs to be brought back, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you're just punching down, you deserve to get the crap beat out of you.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll happen, and you feel kind of bad, but not really.
Right.
So, and it's one thing, you know, having two teenage boys, it's one of those things where, you know, they find one thing to pick on the other one, and they just they gnaw on that so much until
they just keep pushing the same button over and over and over again. But that's why I think like that's why I say, like, when it comes to this fighting the gorilla thing and stuff like that, when we talk about these kinds of things, I'm just taking into consideration that it's modern day men.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I just don't think they stand a chance, dude. Like most average Joes on the street, if we go out there and just, you know, if we were to take a poll right now for the random guys we run into out at the mall or wherever, and ask them, like, when was the last time you threw a legitimate punch?
Right.
Or the last time you took a legitimate punch.
Right.
Like, they're all going to be like, well, I don't know, or never, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, so you talking about putting those guys who've never been in a real fight in an arena with a gorilla? Yeah. I just think that dude's going to rip them apart.
And that's the thing that, like, frustrates the crap out of me, is because you start doing that to people that are not that much younger than us.
Yeah.
And that's when you start getting into those people, because
100%. Yeah.
You know, both of us are on the older side of the millennial and like pushing.
Yeah, I'm the Zennial generation, because I came in that
I'm on that top because I'm 86, and that's
right on the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, we come from that mixture of like Gen X and millennials. And we were that last generation that still had some semblance of like, hey, if you got a problem with me, let's just meet up in the parking lot and throw hands, and we'll be done with it.
Yeah, like I got into a fist fight during a basketball tryout with one of my best friends. Yep, still talk to him to this day. Like, we settled it. It was done. Like we were ticked off.
We became better friends with people back then because we got in fights with them. Like, there's guys that I beat the tar out of when I was in school, and we still love each other to this day.
Right, exactly.
And it's like that's how you handle things in a way that we can like move forward from it. Nowadays, it's like somebody picks on you and says something wrong, and the kids go and tell a teacher. The teacher does nothing against it. So they hold these grudges, and they don't ever learn to like stand up for themselves and fight back.
Or if they do stand up for themselves, they're the ones that get in trouble. Right, and that's what I hate.
Yeah, that drives me crazy too. That was just my like little thought process on that. Is like, man, I was just today's modern man, just the average Joe on the street. I don't think that they ever had any kind of
physical altercation.
Yeah. So if you put them up against the silverback gorilla, it's going to be funny.
It could take
it's going to be funny.
It would take 90 of them. So as we kind of close things out, if you've noticed, and I don't know why it took us this long, we have a link tree now. So you can go ahead and click on that. That'll take you to all of our socials.
Yep.
Whether it be podcast platforms, I think Spotify links on there, Apple Podcast links on there, Instagram links on there, Facebook links on there. So you can follow those on. Those will be linked in our show notes. Obviously, you're following us on this platform, but that gives you an opportunity to check us out on our other platforms as well.
Absolutely. So go do all the things. Comment, like, share, anything that you can do to help us out as far as spreading the word about our little podcast here, we would greatly appreciate it. And we would love for you guys to interact with all of our social media posts because we want to hear from you on those.
Exactly. We try to keep a good pace on doing our Facebook, Instagram posts, things like that. So just let us know what you have to say. Give us a 5-star review. Please, no 1-star reviews, nothing less than a 5-star, because it doesn't really help anybody. If you give us a 1-star review, it actually hurts us even more.
Just save it, man. Why hurt our feelings like that? And then another thing, and this is a commitment that I'm going to make for us right now, is because we've said this a couple times and teased it, but in upcoming episodes, we're going to try to have our first guests on the podcast, and so we're going to hook that up. We've actually got some plans to get some things working in that direction. So.
And hopefully it'll be multiple episodes with the same person, because Peek Behind the Curtain, we've talked about it before, we record 2 episodes, so
2 at a time.
We're planning on, at least on my side, of being able to kind of get to know the person, and then the next episode play fun games with Josh and the other guests.
Absolutely. Sounds like a blast. So otherwise, we will see you guys in the next episode, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. We love you.
Bye. I'm trying to remember.
We should come up with a jingle for the Salt Collective.
I have AI right.
If your business really faulty, hire our friends. They'll make you salty. That was terrible. That was really, really bad.
Use that as the intro.